We got to page Resh Yud Base. Page Resh Yud Base. Let me get this lined up. Okay. The says the Zohar, Ikad is Galion Trin. Am I in the right place? Resh Yud Base, right? When two are revealed, Kishin is Galishne Partsufi Zer Vanuk. So he used the phrase Zeir Vanuk, but that's not the right place? That's not the, no, I'm in the wrong place. Okay, the right place, I got it now. That I thought maybe it was unmarked. Okay, it's per page Resh Aleph.
No.
No? Still wrong. Where is it? Kuf Tzadi Zayin?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have any marks there at all, but that's fine. So it says Umavara Od B'milas Yehi. So we're working on the word Yehi, right? It's Gematria 25. You can see that. He says Besod Shorsh Zer Anpen. So he said the word Yehi is the source of what? Zer Anpen. Ba'osios Elyonu Shel Erik Anpen. It refers to the upper letters of Erik Anpen V'Omar, and he says like this. Kishtei Osios. Let me make a mark here just a second. Today is the 20th. Okay. So he says Kriyina Rebele Yud Ilo Yud Tata. So when you have a Yud in the beginning and a Yud at the end, so he calls it upper, lower, and lower Yud. Ana Korah Mosach Besod Yud Elyon Yud Tachton. Behind Os Yud Harishon Shal Yehi. So when you take this first Yud of Yehi, who Yud Elyon Shal Erik Anpin. This talks to the Yud Elyon. What is the Yud Elyon of Erik Anpin? He says Shehu Sod Kruma Ilo Hamakefis Vososemis as Hamochas Dimor. So there's a Kruma over this. And he says this kruma, the upper one, he's a kruma ilah. It surrounds the mochas dimor of Erik Anpin. Then the os yud hasheni, the second one, yehi hu yud hatachton, shuhu sod zer anpin atzmo. So you have this word yud. So they have a yud, and you have a hey in the middle. Let me see just a second. He said vayehi. So vayehi. Za'atzmo v'hine yud tachton shuhu zer anpin. Who nishrosh v'niskayim b'yud elyon shel Erik Anpin. So the yud elyon of Erik Anpin is the shorish of the yud tachton. So he says va'omer od. Let me get my T out of here before I spell it like I did that last time. Okay, so he says atachto behind os. Let's see, where am I? He or yud tachton shehu sod zer anpin. Atzbo v'hi Yuda Tachton shehu zer anpen hu nishrosh v'niskayim b'Yuda Elyon shel Erik Anpen. V'omer od ki shtei Yudin elu. So furthermore, these two Yudin shall milas Yehi. He says im sod shtei Yudin shall milas v'yatzer. So there comes into the idea of these two Yudin that you find when it said he created. Hanizker b'pasuk v'yetzer Hashem Elokim as Adam. So he formed us up, the Adam, which is Zer Anpin. He said, but he formed it up. So he said, Yud Ilo, Yud Tator. You need two of them there. Ki hinecha b'shtecha b'yudin elu. Hein sod Yud Elyon de Erik Anpin v'Yud Tachton de Zer Anpin. V'ha'inyan is this. She Yitzira Zer Anpin, the formation of Zer Anpin, a Nikra Adam. It's the concept of a formation within inside of a formation. Now, how exactly do you do that? Or an image within an image. So he said, Mikaven, let me see if I got what I have here. Okay, 1 second. Mikaven she'erik anpin mislavish b'soch zer anpin, and since erich is panimi to zer anpin, that's that language of tzura b'tzoch tzura. He said, Omer zer anpin. I guess that's a period there. V'amar od yehi. So it says furthermore, the yehi, the word yehi, yud ilo, yud tata, hey b'gavayhu. Then there's a hey in the middle. He says he nen is boyer shtecha b'yuda b'shecha b'bilis yehi. So we understand it's a yud with inside a yud. But so yud elyon de Erik Anpin v'yud tachton de zer anpin. Once again he says it. V'amnam yesh gam os hey bein shtei yudin elu. But there's also a hey between these two yudin. So he said, what are we going to do with it? If you will, Halan, it's going to explain later. Shehi besod ruach chayim. Now, what is that all about? So he says this is the wind or the breath of life. I'm going to call it the breath of life. Like I said before, the word ruach has so many meanings. So ruach chayim hayotzech mechotem erik anpin lahakios as their anpin. So we know that the ruach comes out of the nose of erik anpin, brings life into zer anpin. So we're still talking about the letter Hey, I believe. So v'omer od, it says further, klal the shlimo, milas yehi, who klal the shlemos shall zer anpin. This talks about the completion of zer anpin. Shahare osias yak, the first two, yud k, shall milas yehi. Heim sod kruma iloah shall chachma de kasev ruach achoitim. So let's just do one at a time. The os, he says, Hachma ruach hachotem beyotze bebinda dekasser. So first you have the ruach that comes out of the nose. Then you have a os yud achron shal yehi. Then there's another yud. This comes from the word the last yud in yehi. That refers to zer anpin atzvo shenishrav zediskayim ba'osios yak. So there's two names, two letters, yud and k. El yonus the erik anpin. They refer to its root. So he says, "V'zehu shlemus haklali." This is the complete the complete shlemus shel zer anpin. Shlim v'lo l'kol star. So it's complete, but not everywhere. Amnam av shemilas yehi romas the sod shlemus the zer anpin. So he says that this refers to the completion of zer anpin. Commotion his boyer has been explained. Him called zecha be'ein kan shlemus gemura. Because Sadada, but if you looked at it from all points, what do we mean? It's not complete shlemas. Mekaven she'ein nizker nukva dezer anpin bebidas yehi. So since it's not mentioned in the words yehi to talk about the nukva dezer anpin, so he's not complete unless he has a nukva. So we said, in other words, you have Yud K coming into zer anpin, and he's the other Yud, but the Yud by itself is not complete. There's no note. So we said dasha refers to Zohar V'Nuk. Previously he said that. Let it bring forth dasha. Below this yehi. That doesn't say yehi. It says so he didn't say let there be dasha. He said because what you're talking about here is at the time of pregnancy. Shadayim lo nizgala zer anpin klal, that zer anpin has still not been revealed at all. V'lo v'hoya b'rabishum shlemus, so he didn't have any shlemus. V'achar kach be'ez latest v'yitzia zer anpin. Then after that, though, when zer anpin is born out, all is amber pasav v'yehi chen, and it was there so. So what does that mean? Ki'ata nigdal v'nishlam zer anpin. So now you've grown zer anpin, you have completed zer anpin. So there, for that reason, Amma Milas Yehi Lefi Shehi Bechinas Shlemus, because now we see that Yehi over here in this place is the constant of Shlemus. Afnim calls Zecha B'Lecha B'Choyz Shlemus Legamri Kana, but it's Shlemus fine. There's a Zeranpin, but not completely and totally complete. So originally he was shown, you could see him without a nukva. That the land brought out dasha, eitz ose pri, and what was that dasha that day? He said. Then it goes on. It says that it was an eitz ose pri. The ose pri is their anpin. Below hisgir eitz pri. It doesn't mention the eitz, the pri of the eitz. It just said the osa of it. Kamosha hisgir kan bepasuk hakodim. Let it mentioned previously. Elahaina b'shum the ose pri, that power to make a fruit, who zer anpin ve'etz pri, who hanukva the zer anpin canal. Ubetechilach b'yatzav v'nizgala rak zer anpin. So in the beginning came out only zer anpin hanikra ose pri, who's called the maker of the pri. V'adayim lo nizgal zer hanukva hanikras eitz pri. So you still don't have the fruit. So therefore she's also not mentioned in the concept of Yehi. V'atem bevachah b'masa nishlam zer anpen b'bechinas shleimus gemura b'kol tzedana. So when does he acquire this nuk? V'amar is akar ma'ai aser shmado. Ki zer anpen ne'aker b'makom mei ima. He is uprooted from the womb. That's he's, I guess, in the gestation period is over. Ima im bazugo. So let me read again. Ki zer anpen ne'aker b'makom mei ima im bazugo, with his mate. Let me see. Get this. There we go. With his mate, v'yatza l'chutz, and then he goes out, v'oz ne'ekor mezer anpen shem Yehi. So then what happens is that he loses the name Yehi, v'ishtil ba'achra, and it becomes implanted in another place. V'nishtach b'shem acher, he becomes joined together or planted into a different name. Kolom shazer anpen v'nukva nishtalucha v'higdilu b'bechinas netiyu. So they're like, what do they call it? Nurslings, plantings, sprouts. So that the concept of a bechinas netiyu, so the little sprouts. And then you see that you have the revelation of both zer anpen v'hein hanukva b'kol kumosam, with all of their height. V'nishlucha b'bechinas shleimas gemura b'kol tzadadim, and now they're complete all the way around. V'oz nikra shneichen b'shem kavaya elokim, and now you have this other name, but he added elokim in there. He said, V'haya Elokim. Now it's called Havaya with Elokim. Ksiv Moshe Ne'emar, V'yitach Hashem Elokim. Here you have these two words begin again, that where he planted Hashem Elokim, Pirish, Kish Nishtaluch Zer V'nukvo. So when the two, Zoch V'nuk, are planted, Bibechinas Netiya, like they're a little, I guess a sprout. I'm trying to think of another word. Hashem Elokim, then they're called by two names. Hashem, referring to Zer Anpin, and I guess Elokim, referring to his Nukva. 1 second, let me just adjust my lights. There we go. So he says, what's the power behind the throne? What makes this actually happen? That Zer Anpin gets planted b'makon acher. So instead of just being a Yehi, now it's a Yud Ke Vav Ke. What happened to into a different situation? So that represents, he's the Vav. Zer Anpin is the Vav, and the K is the Malchus. B'makom acher b'bechin is the Tia b'sod ha'pasa v'yita. That idea of planting over there, talking about man. V'omer, and he says like this. Hey, bein yud liyud de yehi. Let's talk about that hey that's in the middle. He says, Shenaasa ayudei ha'os hey. He says this pattern of has a hey in the middle, so it's made by the omedes bein shtei yudin shal miyas yehi. So it's in between the two. Nishba de pardashka de atika de zer anpin. Shuhu sod neshivas, this is the blowing of the breath of the ruach, a choitim of the Eric Anpin, hanikra pardashka daratika, which is called by the name of the ancient nose. The word pardashka, it's not clear exactly where that word came from. Sheshor shalomala babina babakasa shabakasa. So the real root of this is back into Kesser, the 10 spheres of Kesser. It's really coming from the root of this, I guess, this ruach is coming from the bina of the Kesser Sheshorish Lamala Babina Shabakesed Bebendachu Benoshev Ruach Chaim, and from this, then you see a blowing of the wind I'm going to call it the breath of life, Hanimshach Lamata Al Zer Anpin, which ultimately winds up extending down to Zer Anpin. Below Rucho Lo Iskayim. This is bina the bina the Kesser, he needs that coming through the nose. Ki below ruach chaim, because if there's no ruach of life force, let's see, elyon shall choitem and nirmed be'oz hay, ein kiyum v'tikun l'zer anpin. So you have to have the hay, because the hay contains the life force. Now you have a yud which represents, I thought that he said it represented the chokhmah of Kesser. So that's the first yud. Ultimately, that yud, and this is a kind of a secret of, I think that the Gaon is going to say, I realized that I actually went through some of the Sifra D'tzniuta about the Gaon, just reading the Gaon. It's, something to read. So anyway, ein kiyum v'tikun the zer anpin. There's no really tikun or kiyum for zer anpin. V'amar Odni says further, behei ishtachlal. This hay, which is coming from that bina of going through the nose, blowing onto zer anpin, b'bekoach oz hay hazal shal ruach achoitim. This is ruach achoitim elyon de Erik anpin. Yatza nukva de zer anpin. Yachad im zer anpin. This causes the nukva of zer anpin to come out joined together with zer anpin. Therefore, she's along with him when he gets planted. She's his partner, so therefore she comes along too. Mavoira Odin explains further. So you want to talk about how she's put together through this ruach that comes out of the nose, who besod chibur bina umalchus. So understand that this is a chibur, a bina, ultimately malchus. Now we weren't talking about malchus; we were talking about zer anpin. But he said that zer anpin, as a result of this ruach, he has attached to him, or becomes. She picks up, I guess, from this, which is the bina of Kesser, is the shorsh of the revelation of Malchus, which is the nukva de zer anpin chiber bina of Malchus. Shehem sod shtei osias hay, and this is the two hays that we talk about, and they're related. Varmer hay iloh. Now we're saying there's an upper hay. Ki ruach achaytin, the ruach that comes from the chaytim elyon of zer Erik anpin. Who besod os hay elyon? That's the yud ke vav ke. That's the first verse K. Shall milas yehi. Bina al yonder b'Kasser. Its root is where? It's in the upper bina of Kasser. Hey tetah hey tetah. So it's the lower hay. What about that one? Hey tetah. Let's look at that one. V'chanukva he sod os hay also, but it's the os hay tachtoina. Shehi hey achrona shoshem havaya. This is the final hay. The nimsaki min os hay el yonah. So let's go back to the os hay el yonah to bina shebekasser. That's the one. Ultimately, we're not talking about the bina of Erik anpin. We're talking about the bina of the kasser of Erik anpin, which makes perfect sense. Shebekasser yontzach of benisakin os hay tachtoin the malchus. So this has the power to ultimately lead us to the second half of zer anpin, so to speak, and ultimately that's malchus. V'harei kibur beis hayin shel bebina malchus. Now you put the two of them together. So the pasuk. This is the secret of this pasuk. Aha adni. He says Havaya. So we had these two names. So what does aha mean? Pirush milas aha romas lechibur beis osius hayin shel bina umalchus. So the word aha, so how does that? The aha, which is a gematria what? Of 11, it doesn't really ring a bell. He says, so he says, milas aha romas lechibur beis osius hayin shel bina umalchus. How? Because it says in the rest of the pasuk, ki elu shtei hein heim sod shnei shemus adni and elokim. These two different names, adni and elokim. Ki malchus nikros adni, ubina nikros elokim. Okay, I don't see how that worked out in that name aha, but because aha, what has two? There's a there was a question I had earlier. There's an aleph around here, and here you have two hays and an aleph. So that means they go together, and the aleph in some way leads you to the other two. Now, aleph we've seen in some places refers to Erik anpin. So that wasn't 100% brought out, but I see one of the things that happens here is he mentions things. It's like name dropping, like aha. What are you going to do with that name? He doesn't explain exactly out. Maybe explain it later. Now, here's a problem. Bekitvoy de Katvin. Now, I looked at.
Later.
Oh, okay. Okay, no problem. oldest wedding.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
What time?
Figure it out. I'm just letting you know. My shirt will start, I don't know, within the next 5-10 minutes.
What time do you think it is?
Oh, 5?
Around 5?
Yeah. Way down south.
What's way down south?
They're the last people there speaking English, I'm sure. Okay. Where is my drink? It's over here. Beautiful. I wonder how many more times I can drop that thing and it won't break. I hope I put it together. Alguien me diga dónde puse la computadora. Ahí está. Oh, se acaba allá. Okay. It's nobody there, man. You know what I mean? Hello? Okay, wait a minute. This phone has a few little hang-ups. Sometimes it doesn't let me find how to answer. Okay, so all right, let me see what I got to do here. Now we're on page Reish Aleph now, and here's a phrase that we saw when we made the introduction. Maybe we should read the top because try to see what's going on. Just read across the top. It said "Bekitfoy de Kadfin." I don't know what this is. I think maybe it meant the sap that's inside of something, of a kitfoy. He said Barucha Tzririn de Masculine. It's all tied up with a balance scale, and it comes out to this name Yaakov. So he says there's a Yud Iloh. He says Mispashtan Asvan Labasar. So from that, I don't know, there's letters get spread out going backwards. Biskalal Bezera de Anpin, and it winds up striking their Anpin. Kama the Sharia Begulgolta. Let me go back. I don't want to read too much of this. We don't have that much time. So we'll go back here and we'll see a little bit of what these words. We had this word Vakipoi, the Katfin. So I thought it meant either plucking or sap. I just looked a lot of places. So it says, the Hindi says, Basocha Gulgolas the Eric Anpin. For whatever this is that he's talking about is inside the skull, is their Anpin. That's where we're, of Eric Anpin, that's where we're at. So then it says, Barucha, Ubaruach Hayotim Hachahoitim. So you have these two things. Something that's coming out of the Gugolta, and also a Ruach coming from the Chaitim. Tzrira of the Maskala. They're tied on the Maskala, the Bekeshach Maskala, with the binding to the Maskala, Shuhu Hadas, which is Das. You come up with this concept of Yud Ke Vav. Okay, so first it's the Kitfoy, the Kaptin, then it's the Rucha, and then it's the Maskala. The Maskala is the letter Vav. Meirin and Misatrin Osius Yaakov. So they shine and they crown the letters Yaakov. Now these are what did he say? He says it's from the skull, it's from the rucha and the balance scale. They become crowns on the osios of Yud, K, and Vav. Which I guess means they're like a kesser to them. I don't know. Yeah, that's what it says. But Kruma Davira. So they said this is in the Kruma Davira of the Nikve HaChoitim of the Shisha Kitzvahs, the Guf Eric Anpin. Okay, so this is a lot of complication stuff. So this refers to the Kruma Davira, or the Nikve HaChoitim, which we understand would be the K. So the Rucha Davira is the Yud. The K goes on to the Nikve HaChoitim. Of the Shisha Kitzvahs Guf, there's you got the of Eric Anpin, there you got the Vav. So that's what this is very abstract. It's very, very abstract. Kamoshi she is bar. Now we're going to get into this. I'm going to try to explain it. So we have over here a concept of some kind of a kesser on top of letters. I think what the Rav Shimon is trying to show us, according to these guys, is the origin of letters. V'anta mevarva inyan bepratas. Now we'll explain it in more detail. V'omer yud ilah. So we've been playing this idea with the word yehi. Yud ilah. Where did I lose it? Yud ilah dis ante bekitra de'atika. Let's see. Yud ilah. Now I found the place. This ante bekitra de'atika. So it said there's a yud, elyon, the upper yud. Mis ante is a crown. Bekitur, which I would say was what? I would say that's the crown. Another word for keser, the Eric Anpin.
No.
Huh?
No.
What is it?
That's smoke.
Smoke. Yeah, that's the other, like Ketorah. But Ketorah is also a lotion of binding. It's two different things at the same time. I heard you. Okay, let's read it your way. Os yod ha'elyon misater bekitter. Okay, is the Eric Anpin. So that's why I said a crown, because I just don't see the smoke fitting in there. So now it's explaining where is the place, I guess he means the shorish, of the upper yud. Umahu inyan the keter. So what is this keter that you're talking about? So either what I said or what you said, or something else. This is referring to this keter. That's why I said it's like a keser. Says it's like as a, huh?
But the word doesn't mean crown. It could be a knot. Maybe it's a knot, but it doesn't mean crown.
Maybe it's a, what was the other one you said? I couldn't quite understand.
It maybe means a knot or something, but it just the
A
word
knot.
doesn't mean
Oh,
crown.
like kesher. Yeah. Okay. So okay. That's a that could work. Let's see how it works. Let's go back. Umahu in the keter va'omer. So what? Let's find out what the keter is. He kruma ilah. So he says it's an upper crust. He os yud ha'elyon shalamarno. So this yud, he krum ha'elyon asaisim as mochstimo. This is a crust that is an outer covering that covers over the mochstimo, this dakech, and it becomes more and more refined. V'hakrum hazer nizdakech umerov hazikuch. And because of the amount of, I may think I means he becomes less and less physical. Olu kitur memuchstimo the Eric Anpin. Now that is the kitur, which is the smoke. Because if you go back and you say it's like a smoke, it was os yuda elyon misater bekitur the Eric Anpin. It's crowned by the smoke that comes from Eric Anpin, by this offering of smoke. Smoke is something that's very, very, there's not much substance to it. It is smoke. And it explains this. He kruma ilah. There's a krum there. So he says the os yud elyon shamarno. He kruma elyon asoisim as mochas dimor, covers up the mochas dimor. Then it becomes more refined out. And when it becomes more refined out, we're talking about this kruma now. He said this allows a certain kind of smoke. To come smoke. So I don't like the word smoke, but let's say that's what it is. It says a mochas dimor, the Eric Anpin. So it's coming out from the mochas dimor, which is covered over by the crown. It sounds like it's going upwards. The yotze derek hakrum, and it goes out through this krum. So the what is this smoke we're talking about? So this smoke is about a radiance that's coming up out from the Chochmah of Keser Hanikra Aviridachya, which is called by pure air. Let's say clean air. One more time I read it. The smoke itself, it's not smoke like, see, because I worked in fire so much as I've smelled. Smoke is filthy.
Vapor.
Huh?
Like vapor, maybe. Vapor or steam.
It's okay. So that's what we have to be thinking about. Something clean. V'hakiter hazeh hu sod ha'aras chachma the keser hanikra aviridachya, which is like a pure vapor. That's why it's called the kruma davira, because eventually it lets them to a more vaporized state, which is less solid than this kruma. V'sasim. And then it closes up. Amnam iger ha'or shel ha'mochas dimah, but he wants to say that the light of the mochas dimah, the base part of it is ha'mochas dimah nishar adayim sasim, is still closed up. a certain amount of this vapor gets through. It refines out the kruma enough so that it actually goes up. So I think up. For Omer, he says further, now the Hey Elah. So we were talking about this Yud Elah. What about the Hey Elah? It's Ata Baruch the Nukvin, the Nukvin, the Badashka, the Nafik, the Hachia. So that translation is Os Hey HaElyon Mis Ata Baruch B'Shecha B'Nikva HaChoitim. It is crowned. Now he said what again? The letter Hey. Now he says it's a crown on the letter Hey. And this crown with the ruach that comes from the nikveh hoftin, the Eric Anpin. Now he's talking about really it's very deep here. What you can see there is he's talking about the creation of the letters. The misham yotza v'nimshach ruach lemata. Then from that, I think he means the letter Hey. The ruach is able to go downwards kedei lahakios as their anpin to bring life into their anpin. For ha'inyan hu, so the Indian goes like this: nikve ha'choitim de Eric Anpin, because the openings, the nostrils of the nose of Eric Anpin, hayden sod os hay. Ha'elyon de Eric Anpin, that's that hay that we were talking about before, maybe. He says the Eric Anpin, Anpin of uvenekovim elu over ruach elyon ha'yotza v'nimshach mebechinas bina shebekeser. That's what we said before. Okay, so that's basically what the hay is. The hay is a dalet and a vav. I believe that was part of a drush he made over there. Going on. V'amar od, so he says furthermore, vav ilo butzine degartenuso. So he says, os vav ha'elyon shehupa benimi shisha kitzvos derik anpin. So this vav, this upper vav, which is in the interior of the 6 kitzvos of Erik Anpin, Shorsha Badas Shabakaser. So now we're in the Kasser of Erik Anpin, and there's a Das there. And it's the root of where the letter comes from, starts there. Hanikra Butsanida Cardenusa. So it's called by this name. So this means really, I think, the candle of contraction. Mitzad Gavuras the Das, because inside of this Das are Gavuros. So he says, is Atar be'itrui, and there once again, Atar is this Latra Itra, which is crowned by this, is Atar besitrui. What does that mean? V'oz vav shal das, hamispashet b'guf Erik Anpin. This is the part that spreads into the body of their Erik Anpin, mis Atar, its crown, b'shisha kitzvos el yonah b'shor shadas. Now that last phrase has got me guessing a little bit. So he says once again, Mis'ata b'shisha kitzvos. It's crowned by the 6 upper kitzvos that are on top of it in Das, because that is just the part. I don't know what the upper 6 mean. So I didn't see it. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Call to.